Good afternoon, Representative.
Good afternoon, Governor, members of the Cabinet. Thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to address you today. I represent District 101 in the Florida House of Representatives, and it's my honor to do so, and I'm humbled every day just like you are in that effort of public service. The area in question today, the addition lands, is in District 101. It would be borderline negligent of me to not be here today to defend the people that put me into office. The 147,000 acres, involved in the Big Cypress addition lands. There is no question that it is a gem to the state of Florida and to the federal government and to the world as a whole. However, I have some significant concerns as the duly elected representative of that area that have been brought forward to me by my constituents. And hey, they're the customer. They're why we're here. They are our business. The people of Florida are our business. The historical people of this community and of this area are our business. And so as I looked at that map as it was being portrayed on the screen, I have my own copy of the plan, a few thoughts came to mind, and I'd like to share them with you. First of all, I do want to thank you for deferring this item on your last agenda, or in the September meeting, I believe it was, and thank you for that. I appreciate that, because it was important that this document be fully vetted before any action be taken. I also want to thank the efforts of the Florida Wildlife Commission and their willingness to listen to my constituents. I want to thank Superintendent Ramos for providing opportunity for me to speak at public hearings as well, and for his diligence in putting this plan together. And I've got to thank my constituents who have been extraordinarily vocal. When you look at that map, and you look in the upper left-hand corner, and you see that beginning of that strip next to 29, right across the street are thousands of acres of ranch land. And my ranchers have been in considerable communication with me about this plan as well. I have a number of folks who are off-road vehicle enthusiasts. Many of you have been to Collier County to visit, to recreate, maybe on the campaign trail, maybe to enjoy one of our very unique cultures in Collier County, otherwise known as swamp buggy racing, that we race 3 times a year, because the cultural uses of our community go back for generations in terms of off-road access to these lands. It has become a part of who we are in Collier. When I look at this plan, there's 2 things that strike me as troubling. First of all, we're talking about 147,000 acres, of which 96,000 acres of that will be off limits to off-road vehicles. 96,000 acres. Of that, 47,000 of those acres will be designated wilderness. Now, I understand the need for sustainable access, and I want sustainable access. And my friend and Commissioner Bergeron, there is no greater advocate and no more passionate person when it comes to this, and I respect him greatly. But I do believe that there is a need for more trails, and for those trails to be done up front. And while there has been some discussion about NEPA and the ability to amend NEPA and to go forward with that NEPA process to add some secondary and tertiary trails, as we all know, when you start dealing with opening up new statutes and federal statutes, you also open up the opportunity for challenges to those statutes. And I believe that that process will be heavily burdened by future challenges to opening that up. So if we don't do this now, I believe our window of opportunity fades greatly for my constituents. I also believe that when it comes to the wilderness designation, or the proposed designation of wilderness, that we have some fundamental challenges that I do not believe have been fully addressed, and this speaks to your point, Commissioner Bronson, regarding firefighting. I have a fairly unique district in the state of Florida that allows me to travel Alligator Alley 2 or 3 times a week to get from one side of my district to the other side of the district. There are a few people in the state of Florida that know that road by mile marker like I do. And I can assure you that there have been times when that road has been closed, because of high degree of smoke, where there has been flame literally in the median, and we need to make sure that we have every opportunity to protect that treasure with the full resources available to us to not only protect the resource itself, but to protect motorists, protect our firefighters, and to protect the people that are willing to work for the forestry department and their firefighting division as well. It is extremely important that all those opportunities are presented and are, in my opinion, that should be done up front. I believe that that determination of how those resources should be utilized, be it mechanical firefighting and whatnot, should be identified before we go forward. If you look at the blue shaded area of that map, the majority of the wilderness lands completely abut I-75. And that area is a significant portion of roadway. It is an area that would be widely used by the tribal nations for evacuation from some of their areas, and would be extraordinarily important for us to make sure that we keep that road as safe as humanly possible. And I believe that the firefighting, in my opinion, has yet to be addressed. And I should tell you, prior to becoming a legislator, I was a fire commissioner for 5 years, so I have a little bit of understanding of that nature. And so I would tell you today in front of you, you have a question as to whether or not you're going to turn these lands over to the federal government. Much has been said about the federal government and great partnerships and so forth. And I would assure you that yes, they are our federal partners. At the same token, I think we can also probably look at a myriad of examples of where our partnerships have not necessarily gone so smoothly, and where that opportunity to stumble can certainly exist. In all deference to Superintendent Ramos, he's not the first superintendent of the Big Cypress, and he will surely not be the last. And while he has been an outstanding partner with us, he's liable to be promoted one day, and I hope you are, because you deserve it. You've worked hard. But the person that steps in, as we've heard, there will be some latitude. There will be some interpretation. We're talking about turning over 30,000 acres of state lands to the federal government with an unclear future, exactly how that wilderness will allow to be used for firefighting, exactly how sustainable trails might be created in the future because of that latitude. And that gives me great pause for concern. So members of the cabinet, I would tell you today that on behalf of me personally, who lives literally about 15-20 minutes from this location, from my constituents, from the people that blessed me with this honor, I would ask you, do not take away our last chip in the game until we have these issues truly resolved. We've made a Herculean effort to get to this point, and I think we are very close. And I think with some additional work, some fine-tuning, perhaps a little wordsmithing, we can get exactly where we need to be, have a great partnership, and a great future for the people of Florida for public access for these lands. But as long as I'm in office, I will always fight for public access for public lands, because they belong to the people of Florida. And this plan, I believe, will restrict that and may cause some irreparable harm. And I thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Representative. Appreciate you.